Welcome to the Fortress of Dorkness, the nerdy nexus for all your geeky needs. I'm your host, Death Jr. Villarreal. Twice removed. Imagine you died, but moments later you awoke from your eternal slumber. How would you feel? What is the outcome of your confusion? And who is this guy who looks like death? Beyond the Big Two is taking a look at a very special book by Cheney Petro. Death's Footsteps. In the middle of the night, a young woman is stirred from her sleep from sounds coming from the forest. It is young Death practicing his death march, preparing for his role as death itself. As her heartbeat syncs with his footsteps, she dies before her time, leaving young Death to make a decision. He brings her back from the dead as his bride and returns with her to the underworld. Death's Footsteps is written by Cheney Petro and illustrated by Jill Colbert, released in 2016. Influenced by the Russian and Danish fairy tales her mother read her, Cheney is a storyteller who weaves tales of the dark, twisted, subconscious, and defiant. She crafts not just stories, but fables, laced with the eternal archetypes of the world. Death's Footsteps is one of many tales she has crafted. If you're a fan of old world tales, folklore, and fables, you're gonna love this one. More of a graphic storybook than a graphic novel, Death's Footsteps pays homage to the true macabre tales of old. One harkens back to such stories as those of Hans Christian Andersen, the Brothers Grimm, and Aesop, where happy endings weren't as important as the hard truths of the world. Cheney says on this, these fables are about confronting ourselves or defying rules that society has told us we must conform to. The book takes the idea of death and turns it into an ecosystem, a part of life, and explores the idea of a hard-working community that keeps the circle of life turning. Many people see death and the underworld as another version of the devil and hell. They see death as something unnatural, to be feared and hated. But in nature, death is just a part of the reoccurring cycle of life, not something to be avoided, but something to embrace. By far the biggest draw to the story is the family of death. The depiction of death strays away from the traditional idea of a soul-taking malevolent being. In fact, this group of beings each play a vital role in the ecology of life and death, and live as a fully functional family, just doing their jobs. I also loved humanizing the family of death. They are not a malicious force seeking to steal lives or to punish, but a loving community that works together to help keep the balance of life. Jill Colbert's illustrations bring a simplistic yet bold palette to the tale. Her gothic style blends layers of illustrations, symbols, and transparent elements against a monochromatic world to lay roots in the history of the underworld home of death. Perhaps that's what I like best about her work. It makes me feel like I'm seeing something for the first time, and yet it feels like I've known this image for years. A sense of new and old at the same time. So viewers, should you share these tales with your kitties or your kitties? Honestly, it's completely up to your discretion. Though the tale is dark in nature and doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, stories like this have been and continue to be taught to children for generations. So parents, we say give it a read and maybe consider sharing with your kids. Death's Footsteps, along with Cheney's other books, are available on Amazon, with digital copies on their way in the near future. Also keep a lookout on Cheney's Kickstarter page, linked in the description, where she frequently brings her new projects. If you enjoy Death's Footsteps, you should also check out Cheney's other works. Her first book, 4 Arms, which she did with illustrator Vilde Ulrichsen, is a story about a young girl who lives on a farm. While searching for truffles with her pig in the forest, she grows 4 extra limbs, which articulate the good and bad in all of us. Her latest book, The Shadow Beast, illustrated by Carolyn Jamore, is about a girl who is born with a shadow in the shape of a monster. As she grows older, the shadow begins terrorizing the people of her village. But can she take control of it? That's all we have for today. Leave your comments below. Please like, subscribe, and follow us into the forest, but beware of other footsteps. This has been Beyond the Big Two. I'm Christian Villarreal, and you've been watching The Fortress of Dorkness.